For people suffering from celiac disease, gluten attacks the small intestine and the body by causing headaches, fatigue, stomach pain, and issues like depression, skin rashes, and anemia. In recent years, we've made a lot of progress in understanding it. But are we any closer to a cure? Let's find out. Dr. Maria Pinto-Sanchez on the line, Assistant Professor of Medicine at McMaster University. Dr. Pinto-Sanchez, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me today.
Yeah, and listen, I know a lot of people that have celiac, and this is a very big issue for them. So, can you give us some hope this morning on that front? What have we learned, and how close are we to a cure?
You're very right, because celiac disease is quite common. Affects 1% of the population of Canadians. So, it's very, very common. So, in the past, celiac disease, not in the past, celiac disease is treated with a gluten-free diet, which involves avoiding anything that contains gluten, which is the most common protein that you can find in wheat, rye, and barley. So it could seem quite easy to do it, but our patients are struggling with adopting the diet very strictly because gluten is everywhere. So for the last years, we have been investigations on different medications that could help people with celiac disease to tolerate some gluten. Of course, it's not allowing them to completely, go back and eat gluten, but at least to be able to tolerate small quantities. And there are different treatments under investigations. Some of them involve some digestive enzymes that could help digesting gluten in a different way, so people with celiac disease don't react to that. Mm-hmm. And then other medications are the ones that are more advanced, are aimed to improve the gut, the permeability of the gut or the leaky gut that is very common in celiac disease. So these medications under investigations can help to make the cells more tight, which prevents the passage of gluten. And then another medication that actually we are part of that multi-center study aims also to prevent the immune reaction to gluten by blocking one of the molecules that is involved in the activity against gluten. Mm-hmm. So there are more than 20 medications like this under investigation. Hopefully, in the next couple of years, will we have one medication that can help people to tolerate gluten.
So, doctor, that word cure is a very big word. Would you describe these medications as more long-term treatments, or does anything to you say, oh, you know what, this could be something that I would call a cure?
Right. So unfortunately, we cannot call it a cure because none of these medications that are currently under investigation will cure or will completely remove the likelihood of a celiac person to react to gluten. But at the same time, having some medication can help people to, for example, let me put you an example. If someone goes to a restaurant and one of the most problematic experience for people with celiac disease is go and eating outside home when they don't have control on how food has been prepared. So when they go to a restaurant and if the food has been prepared with contamination or contaminated with gluten, they may not need to worry about that because if they take one of these medications that can help strengthen the immune system or reinforcing the gut, so then those minimal amount of gluten can be maybe tolerated if this medication works, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we are not talking about a cure, completely cure at this point. One of the possibilities of tolerating gluten completely and reverting that reaction to gluten that people with celiac disease have was the vaccine. Unfortunately, the vaccines that have been under investigation didn't work completely in the last studies, but there are other medications that will start investigation probably in the next year are aiming to induce tolerance to gluten. But we are not yet there to talk about a cure or a complete tolerance to gluten.
We're with Dr. Maria Pinto-Sanchez, Assistant Professor of Medicine at McMaster University, and we're talking about advancement in treatment of celiac disease. Doctor, you mentioned the issue that people with celiacs face. They go to a restaurant, right? Cross-contamination, things they don't know what's coming, what's in the food that they're going to get. And one thing I've heard that can be very frustrating is that there are people that have celiac, and there are people that go to those same restaurants and they tell the staff, "Oh, I cannot eat this. I'm allergic to gluten." And then they still order 3 other things from the menu that have gluten, and that creates a thing. So I just want to ask you, has that made this battle or this challenge more difficult? That not only do we have celiac, but we also have people that are gluten intolerant or various levels of gluten, or where they say they're allergic to gluten.
That's completely correct. So I understand that this is confusing, and that could be confusing also for chefs working in the restaurant, because again, cooking completely gluten-free it implies a lot of effort. And using different pans, cooking, use different utensils. So there is a lot that needs to happen in the kitchen to be completely gluten-free. And there is a big spectrum of reaction to gluten. Celiac disease is one of the most commonly known immune reactions. So when someone with celiac disease eats gluten, then that will cause a significant immune reaction that could lead to gut damage, inflammation in the gut. Uh-huh. There are other people that react to gluten, that they have symptoms when they eat gluten, but not necessarily inflammation in the gut. And these are people that have gluten intolerance. Again, even though if these people with gluten intolerance eat gluten, they will feel it, they will develop symptoms, but it will stop there. They will not get inflammation in the gut. And then in another reaction to gluten, for example, people that have wheat allergy, these people have way more severe reactions, and they develop more allergic reactions like hives when they eat minimal amounts of gluten, even less than celiac. So again, there are different types of reactions, and I know that it gets confusing, but it's very important for celiac disease and for gluten, for wheat allergy, that they are not facing gluten at all, because they could react to minimal amounts of gluten, even to 1 breadcrumb. Whether people with gluten intolerance, they will have some symptoms when they eat a little bit more gluten. The threshold may be a little bit higher, but they may not have the same consequences than celiac disease and wheat allergy.
Doctor, we have to leave it there. I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Absolutely. Take care. Have a great day. And from the McMaster University, that is Dr. Maria Pinto-Sanchez, an assistant professor of medicine.